What's up, everyone? All right, so I'm going to go over my trades from today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Kala, Kala, currently up 300% today. And this is kind of another example of one of the stocks that I've talked about recently that has a combination of factors that gave it some extra momentum today. However, it wasn't without risk to trade it. And in fact, I went red about $1,200 or $1,300 on it before recouping those losses and finishing only moderately green. And I undertraded it. I was doing something with my kids from like 10 a.m. until like 10 minutes ago until 12:15. So I sort of missed this big window of trading, kind of from about here until, well, I guess kind of like right in here. And then I've just sat back down and this is what I see. So, that's the way it goes. I'm at a place in my career and in my life where I don't spend 8 hours a day sitting in front of the computer the way I did earlier on. And that does mean I missed some opportunities, but for me, it's just kind of a opportunity cost of I lose the opportunity to trade some of these stocks, but I gain the opportunity to spend more time with my kids and family. And that's more important to me right now. Of course, when they're older and then they have their own lives, then I'll probably be able to spend 8 hours in front of the computer again, if that's really what I want to do at that point in my life. But anyway, so going back on this one, so this was kind of interesting. This morning, when I first sat down, I had noticed that it was up. It had made a move after hours on Friday, or after hours yesterday. It squeezed up, it drops back down, and pre-market starting at 4 a.m., it started to pop up just a little bit. It pulls back a little bit. It wasn't super exciting. It came up here to a high of 678. Pulls back, and then right here we've got a couple of false breakouts, and I want to kind of point these out because these are the reasons why it made sense to be a bit bearish on it. So we had a false breakout right there on the 5, another one right there, and then another one right here. Now if we switch this actually to a 1-minute chart. Let's switch this to a 1-minute chart for a second. So we're looking at these false breakouts pre-market, and look at the high volume red candles associated with this false breakout. So my first trade was right here. I bought for the breakthrough 650. It goes up to 660 and then it slams down to 620, and I lost $1,300 on that trade. That was my first trade. Wasn't super happy about that. Obviously, it's not a great way to start the day. It ends up bouncing off volume weighted average price and curling back up, but it was choppy. I saw it do another false breakout right here. I then took a small position right here, and it pops up to 60, 65, 67, made like $200. And then at the open, this is where I got a trade. I got a trade on this. I took a long at 675. And I actually held a small position of that all the way up to $9.30. So I held it through here, and then up through this area here is where I took the profit finally off the table. Maybe it was somewhere around there. That was pretty solid. In fact, I undertraded it. Now the problem was when I added at 675 right here, I can go back to that trade. That was right around 930. So I only bought 1,500 shares. Well, why? Why didn't you step up to the plate with 5,000 or 10,000? The reason is because of this red candle, this red candle, this red candle, and this red candle. I didn't trust it. And this one right here at the open, I really didn't trust it. I knew the risk was high buying it at that high day spot. And so I took a small position and it ends up ripping. And next thing you know, it's halted up, right? So all of a sudden it's halted up here at 733, I think it was, 723. And I was just like, well, okay, that was nice, but I don't know. It opens a little bit higher. It dips, And I just wasn't sure because in this market, we've seen things open higher and then sell all the way off and halt down. But it ends up ripping nicely. Dip and rip up to 8, pulls back, pops up to 850, and then up to 9. And at this point, I was just like, I'm just going to ride the momentum. Right here, we had a kind of nasty false breakout. Pops up, drops down, and then wick reclaim back up. And I took a long on this right here, about 895 or 899 for the break through the high. You got a nice like 40-cent break on that up to 937. Drops down, comes back up. I get back in for the break of 937. It hits 950, 960, dips down, and then we start to get into this choppy period right here. Now, something that I noticed on this one, which I thought was interesting, was a little bit of a pattern on the level 2. And the pattern was that we were having these big stacks of sellers. And the stack of sellers, it was like 10 sell orders all at the same price, and kind of obscure prices like $9.43. This whole stack was moving down sort of together. So that told me that this is some type of order that's dynamic. It's moving, and it's moving orders that are going out to multiple routes all at the same time. So it's kind of like a wall. And I've seen that before. And I usually, when I see that, I think either someone is trying to unwind a big position, someone is trying to scare off long bias traders, or someone's trying to go short. I usually just consider it to be bearish. So that was happening. I noticed it. I first noticed it. It was right around this area here that I first noticed it. And I was like, this is weird. And so it's pulling back here. And this, until maybe 10:15 or so, when I had to run out with my kids, I was noticing it on the level 2. And then I walked away. And what looks like happened here was in one 1-minute candle, it just jammed up and is halted up. And so anyone who is perhaps shorting in this area, thinking that that was a sign of weakness, which it did seem that way with those big stacks of orders, all of a sudden, those orders were gone and it just goes straight up into a halt. And now you've got some people that are trapped, which could have been exactly the intention of whoever was moving those orders around. It then dips and rips into a second halt at 1177. Then it dips and rips into a third halt, and then it dips and rips into a fourth halt going up. That's pretty impressive. 1, 2, 3, 4 halts going up. It opens, it hits a high of 1748, halts down. Washout, dip here from 14 back up to 15, back up to 16, back up towards 17, and then a jackknife, big red candle, flushes down hard, almost halts down, comes back up, and right now we're in this is where we're at right now. So it's pretty extended up here, for sure. It's a bit top heavy. And so one of the things that I start wondering is, does this stock have a shelf registration? So we have a shelf registration right here for $350 million. And I'm almost wondering, let's see, that was $16 million offering. This was on, okay, so that was before that. I'm almost wondering if we're going to see news in the next day or two of a secondary offering. If we had the news, I mean, they could squeeze it in before the end of the fiscal year. They would have to do it tomorrow, either later today or tomorrow or Friday. But it would get some more cash on their balance sheet to close out the year. So, this is the type of thing that we see a lot of: the reverse splits, shelf registrations, secondary offerings, the shelf registration squeeze, as we sometimes think of it. You've got a stock that has a shelf registration, then suddenly makes a huge move. And then like later that same day or the next day, they drop the news of a secondary offering. It's kind of, makes you scratch your head a little bit. I don't really know. Maybe they won't do a secondary offering. Maybe they won't. And maybe there's other reasons that the stock is up as much as it is, aside from the news. But the thing is, of course, we see stocks that have great news and the stock ends up going up a teeny bit and then dropping. One of the trades that I'm read on today, RAYA, news was out this morning of a 400% increase in sales in the first 6 months of 2022. Sorry. Stock goes up and it's not able to hold. So, that seems to me like pretty good news, but wasn't able to hold, ended up losing $900 on it. So it's certainly interesting, the price action on some of these. In this case, I think that some shorts got trapped in this area here of high volume consolidation. What looks like to be fading, what seemed to be some big sellers, stacked up on the ask. And then all of a sudden, those sellers were gone and off it goes. I remember we actually saw something like that a couple months ago maybe a month ago with like a 1.6, or was it 16 million? It was a huge seller. And then all of a sudden the order was gone. And people who wanted to buy to cover a short, there were no sellers for them to buy from. And then the stock just rips up into a halt and off it goes. So I don't know how much higher this is going to go today. I'm happy with where I sit on the day. A green day is great. We're coming to the end of the month, end of the year, and I'm just happy to chip away a couple more green days. I'm a little bit bummed out that it was as choppy as it was this morning. And the fact that it was that choppy, I was like, man, there's something funny about this stock, because we shouldn't be seeing that kind of liquidation on these candles. Why is it flushing that hard? Really hard on this candle, and this candle. So that to me was odd. And then, you've seen more price action that's been pretty crazy today. So anyways, it's a green day for me. I'm happy with that. Didn't make a lot on Kala, Kala, but green on it. Lucy, I traded that one earlier today as well. Did a bit better on this one. But of course, this one has now faded back quite a bit. There were some trades here around 155, 156. Nice break through this resistance at 160, and then got back in right here going into the open, and we got a nice squeeze up to about 177. Did not break the pre-market high of 179, which is what I was hoping for, but got a couple decent trades on it. But that ended up sort of fading as Kala picked up some momentum and took off. So good job for those that got green on it. Certainly those who's stayed around a little longer and traded longer in the day were rewarded for that today. I guess as long as you were on the long side. And maybe some short sellers got punished for, maybe trading a little too long or not taking the gains off the table. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's ripping up and you're trapped. And that's the thing that's really frustrating, is that you would have been able to get short without a lot of problem during this consolidation period with high liquidity. And then as soon as it starts to break out and become volatile, the liquidity's gone. And now it's really hard to cover without getting a ton of slippage. It's hard to buy without getting slippage. And you suddenly get, in a matter of, a couple of halts, a 100% squeeze from 7 up to 14 and then up to a high of 17. Pretty crazy. Anyways, I hope you found that interesting. Reminder as always that trading is risky and my results are not typical, so make sure you trade cautiously. Practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line, and don't try to blindly follow me or anyone else. All right, take it slow, and we'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning for the morning show, right around 9 a.m. All right, I'll see you then.